Sun is slowly rising across the hills of Caroline. I feel something in the air, a new song is on my mind. The sweet melody I hear was sent from heaven above. The song that I'm singing is of everlasting love. Oh, it's a new day for living life, a new day to get it going. Open the windows of your heart and let His love give you life.
Welcome to Cooking with Miss O. Let's join Mary Beth Oxendine in the kitchen as she teaches you how to cook Southern style
Welcome to Cooking
healthy.
with Miss O. I'm Mary Beth Oxendine, and on today's show, we will be cooking chili and beans, corn muffins, and tossed salad with homemade dressing. I'm going to start right now with my chili and beans, and I wanted to show you, this is a favorite of my family. I use organic Del Monte diced tomatoes, and I buy that at my local Ingles store. And they have a wonderful supply of organic things. I doing my tomato sauce. And you can do either pinto beans and kidney beans, or decide which beans you want. My family loves pintos, so I do 2 cans of drained, we've already drained them, of pinto beans. And these also are organic. We're putting this in the crock pot, and we've got it on high right now. And you can also do this in the pot. If you do it in just a pot on the stove, it takes about 30 minutes. I have this wonderful tool. This is from Pampered Chef. It can chop or stir, and I use that with all of my mixing. I have organic chili powder. I have a white onion that I chop up. And I use that in the wintertime because those are still American grown. In the summer, I use Vidalia onions from Georgia. And then I use sea salt. I stir all that up. I have already cooked my hamburger, and what I do is I cook up sirloin, ground sirloin when it's on sale, and I do a pound, and it's already cooked, and it's in my freezer smarts at Tupperware. And this is wonderful because then I can just take it out, and this makes it so I can make this meal in 30 minutes. And many of y'all have busy schedules, just like I do. And you just take this down if you're going to have this for supper, and you take it down in the morning, put it in your refrigerator, and it's thawed out by time you're ready to cook dinner. And you need about maybe 15 minutes for preparation, and then I add 2 cups of water. Stir it real good, and we're done. And now we just put the lid on, and if you do it in the crock pot, I would leave it on high for about an hour, and it should be ready. What I want to show you here too is I buy my organic chili powder and all my spices. You can get them at Whole Foods or at Ingles. They are not irradiated, and that's how you want to do your spices because they're healthier. Now I'm going to go to the corn muffins. I grind all my grains, and I want to show you, this is what I did earlier. Here's my grinder. I just have it on my kitchen counter, and I just drop it in whenever I'm doing anything. I used, it's popping corn is what I use for the grain for my cornmeal, and then I use whole wheat berries, and that's my whole wheat, and I use that for my flour. I put in my whole wheat flour, and this is Southern cornbread. I've taken my mother-in-law, Marie Oxendine's recipe, and I have changed it with my fresh ground grains. Then I use sea salt, and I use baking powder. Now I get a baking powder that does not have aluminum in it. And I just whisk those around a minute. This is my batter bowl and my whisk, which are two of my most important tools in the kitchen, and I get those from Pampered Chef. I then add brown sugar. I also do honey, raw honey. You can do that. I do raw sugar. And if you don't have either of those, I just use brown sugar. Brown sugar has a little bit more nutrients in it than you do the white sugar. You want to stay away from white sugar as much as possible. There. Now, we're going to put in part water. If you have a dairy allergy, you can do all water and not have to use any milk, but I use a little bit of half and half, or you can use low-fat milk. And I put a half a cup in there. And then you just whisk. Now when you're using fresh grains that you've just ground, within the first 72 hours of grinding your whole wheat and your cornmeal, it has all the nutrients that the human body needs. That's why in the Bible it says that the wheat berry is the staff of life. And it even compares in the Bible to Jesus that he's the bread of life, because the wheat that you use in your bread, whether it be whole grain wheat or oats, which I grind those too and flake them, then you have all the nutrients that you need. And it dies away slowly over the 72 hours. Now, if you were to leave this standing here using whole wheat, it will start bubbling up like you had yeast in it, and you don't. So now all we're going to do, and I use a Pampered Chef scoop here. It's called the medium scoop. And that's how I do all my muffins. And all of these recipes that I'm doing today are in my cookbook, Healthy Simple Southern Style Cooking on One Income. And the chili and beans is on page 74, and the corn muffins are on page 16. I usually do 2 heaping scoops in each muffin thing. And I use the white paper liners instead of the colors because it doesn't have any dyes in it. And if you have children like I do who are allergic to things, that's the safer thing to do. Plus, it makes your cleanup much easier too. I use only stainless steel baking pans because of some research that shows that Alzheimer's is caused by aluminum. So I don't use any aluminum. I use all stainless steel. Now, this will feed a family of 6, and with possibly some leftovers for lunch. If I send Indy with my kids or my family for lunch, I use glass baking dishes. I mean, like this, from Pampered Chef, that have lids on it. Then you can put it in the microwave, because putting plastic in the microwave is also not healthy, and you don't want to do that with your children. Now, this is the muffins already done in the paper liners, and I'm just going to pop this in the oven, and these will be done in about 20 minutes. Thank you so much, and I think it's about time for us to go to break. Hello, I'm just now starting with the salad. With this meal, we are also going to have a tall salad, and I make my own dressing. I use Bertelli's extra light olive oil. I have found out that olive oil is great, and the darker the olive oil, the better, but as Southerners, we're not used to that flavor, so this is the one you can buy it at Walmart, Ingles, Bilo. It has never been turned away because people don't have that strong taste. Then I just measure it right here in a little jar, and I can keep this in the refrigerator. It's called Zesty Italian by Good Seasons. It's been around forever. It was around when I was a kid. But that way you have the better oils and vinegars. This is your organic Bragg's vinegar, and I use that, and you need to shake that because it settles in the bottom. With this, you have all the nutrition, and there's no MSG in this packet, and there's no artificial flavors or anything like that in this, and that's why this is so wonderful. We do 1/4 cup of vinegar. We do another 1/4 cup of water. Then you want to shake it. These are just little canning jars that I've gotten at the Walmart. Then you add in 1/2 cup of olive oil. This saves a lot on cost. I keep a Tupperware thing in my pantry full of these seasonings. You can buy those at any of the grocery stores. And then I keep this in the refrigerator, so we always have salad dressing. That saves a lot in price for your family and cost. And now we want to check our chili. And it is ready. And we want to start with our salad here. I do organic carrots. I also have green leaf, red leaf, and fresh spinach in here. And I tear these up for a little bit smaller. After I've rinsed them here, I have this bowl that I just make the salad in. And that way you're getting 3 different greens into your family. The baby spinach, the green leaf lettuce. Sometimes there's a few hard stems you want to pull out, but leave as much of the stem as you can in there because that's good fiber. And then we are going to tear all this up after it's been washed. So it's in smaller pieces. Now, if you're going to use the whole salad, put the salad dressing on all of it. Otherwise, if you've made extra salad, you can put this. The best thing to put it in is a Tupperware container because it will stay longer. You can, in Tupperware, you can have lettuce last a week, and that's what you want. This has anything that you can eat that's live and hasn't been cooked, has the highest nutrient value and vitamin value. Now, Pampered Chef has a wonderful tool where it'll cut your carrots after you've peeled it. Well, it will shred your carrot like this, and it looks really pretty, and kids tend to love that better. Adults will even eat it who aren't that crazy about carrots. So it'll look more like a salad bar. And you put as much as you need in there, and then you can put these back in a Ziploc and save them for your next salad. A lot of food that you want organic is because you don't want it genetically engineered. And corn is one of the worst for that right now. And so I'm real careful when I grind my corn to get organic corn because I don't want genetically engineered corn. It doesn't have the nutrient value that regular corn has. Okay, and then we want to pour a little dressing on this. And we have our plate and our bowl ready to go here. Here we go. I have celery, organic celery already cut up. It's not really more expensive to eat organic because you're not eating all the junk food and things like that. So let me just pour a little bit on here and toss this. Here we go. Put a little bit on our plate here. We also have our corn muffins that are ready. And we're going to take the wrapper off here. And if you're like my family can eat 2 corn muffins at a time. So we will put 2 on this plate. I use real butter. I also use honey, sometimes mixed with the real butter, which is real good. And sometimes your wrappers take off more of the cornbread that you want it to. Here we go. And this one came out perfect. Now, we're going to ladle up our chili because it is ready now. If you do a cup of chili per person, that is considered a regular portion. And you want to start with a little bit of portion control with your kids. You don't want to make them nervous about weight or anything like that. We're talking about eating healthy. And so what I used to do when my kids were little, I would serve up their plates, but I wouldn't give them too much, especially if it was new food, so they could try everything. And then they would eat everything the first time, and the second time if they ate everything, then they could have seconds in whatever they wanted. But I also made sure that what we had for dinner wasn't something that was going to hurt their health. I just want to show you how it looks, what a lovely meal it looks, and it is a filling meal. Let me explain to you about when you grind your fresh grains, they will fill you up faster than the processed white flour foods. You want to stay away from anything that's white. White flour, white cornmeal. You want to stay away from cornmeal and flour that is already had everything added to it, so you don't add your own baking powder and your own salt, because a lot of times that is not healthy at all because they don't use baking powder without aluminum. You also want to stay as close with your vegetables and your fruits to organic as you can, because if you, so much of the peeling and stuff holds those chemicals in it, and you don't want to give that to children. This is a southern winter meal. I hope y'all will enjoy it, and I'm going to try it before we go. I hope there's some here. This is really good, even if I did make it. It's an easy, no-fail recipe. I used to teach 3rd grade. I graduated from Clemson University and taught 3rd grade in Central South Carolina. So my cookbook is on a 3rd grade level. Children could cook this. So it's good to get your children in the kitchen. Both of my children were always in the kitchen with me, plus neighbor kids, my children's friends. And they all learned how to cook. And I'm proud to say that both of my kids are really good cooks now. I don't want to say this on TV, but I think there's a possibility they're both better than me, really, especially at a younger age than I did. Let me see the cornbread. One thing you will notice with your cornbread, is it will be a little more grainy and crunchy than regular cornmeal. So I really like that to it. One other thing I do when I make this cornbread recipe, which is on page 16 in the cookbook, is if I do it in a big wrought iron pan, and you can buy those at Cracker Barrel, and they're not like the old wrought iron pans. They are already finished, so we don't have to keep oiling them and finishing them. And I put in half the cornmeal batter, then I sprinkle in brown sugar and put the other half cornmeal batter on, and put a little bit more sprinkled brown sugar on the top. And that is a really sweet cornbread to have with something else. I like it with the chili, but some people don't like as sweet a cornbread as I do. Now let me try the salad. This is an easy meal that you could get on the table really quick. Then you know you're feeding your family healthy. One other thing I do is I cook up 30 of these meals in my cookbook and put them in the freezer. And so that I don't have to worry when life gets hectic and things happen unexpectedly. I know we still have dinner at night. This will save a lot on your food bill. My food bill for the week is an average of $50 a week, and we eat this way, all 3 meals and a snack. We'll be back in just a minute. Hello, I would like to talk to you some more about freezing. I use, as many of you know maybe, that my husband was an economics teacher and now I'm a widow. So I learned in being married to him how to save money. When you use plastic bags all the time in your freezer, you have to replace those constantly. So I bought FreeSmart from Tupperware, and I did that because I don't have to continually throw out the bags, and I can use this over and over again. So it saves you a lot of cost that way. What I've really learned too about freezing is that now that I'm a widow, I was a mom and a wife, and there was 4 at the table all the time, plus friends and everything. So now sometimes it's just me. So I can make up this whole meal that I used to make for my family, but I can put it in my freezer smart and then just take it down in the morning, and then I know I have dinner. For singles, it is very important that we still eat healthy, even though we're not cooking for a whole house full of people. Plus, with freezing it, I can also then turn around if my children show up or their friends show up or just friends show up, I can take down bigger portions and cook a whole meal, have a whole meal out of the freezer that way too. It also saves you money because then you're not tempted to run to the fast food, which I have done some more of that than I usually do since Tom died, and I'm trying to get back away from that. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about is where I shop and what food I use. I go mostly to Ingles because my local Ingles, we don't have that many grocery stores in the central Clemson area. I use all of these ingredients here. I use a lot of Earthbound Farm, and that's my celery I use today and my spinach. I also use this, which is Organic Valley, and you think sometimes that it's more expensive this way, but it's really not. You can go on and get coupons on organic sites. The reason I do this is organic, like I explained to other people, is really the way we used to have food back in the 30s and 40s before all the chemicals were added. Plus at Ingles, they're real careful for the regular milk and all. They get it from cows in North Carolina because they don't use a lot of the hormones in their cows in North Carolina that we do other areas. So it's always good to just buy things that are Ingles because they are real careful about that family. I can find some organics at Bi-Lo, and there's a Whole Foods, but Whole Foods is 40 minutes away from me and Ingles is 5 minutes away from me. So I only come to Whole Foods maybe once or twice a month. I also want to tell you, you can find these recipes in my cookbook, and I want to thank you so much, and I would love to really hear from you. They are putting my website, my email up there, and I would love for you to email me whether you've tried the recipes or not, and whether you have eaten it at somebody else's house and they've tried the recipe. I would just really love to hear. And until next time, I would really love to have a recipe from somebody who has a Southern recipe they'd like for me to change, because I change Southern recipes to make them healthy. And if you have any of those, would you please email me those too, and maybe I can have them on a future show. Until next time, may God bless you and your family. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.